This conference will now be recorded.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Before we start tonight's meeting, I'd like to just talk a little bit. We're a busy night. Many people will want to talk. Generally, if it comes up to a point where the guests and things like that raise questions from the audience, that will be fine. When we get to the actual action items for the board, we're going to ask you to withhold any kind of comments or questions until the public comment period time so that we can work on it ourselves. Okay, thanks. So the first thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. We have the January 14th, 2025 organizational meeting. We have the January 14th, 2025 regular meeting. And then we have the January 29th, 2025 regular work session meeting. Can I have a motion to accept all three, or should we do them one at a time?
One at a time. I just have a small thing.
Okay.
John and I talked about it. I just wouldn't bring it up then. Okay. Then all three is fine.
All three is fine?
Yeah.
Okay. So a motion and second to approve those minutes.
Okay.
Laura makes it.
Second.
Tina and Tim second. Any discussion about them? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Carried. Tonight we have we've invited Karen Peters and the Wilmington Historical Society to be guests. One of the things on our agenda is the adoption by the town of a regular permit process and a schedule of fees. Over the years, the town has sort of gone on a case-by-case basis. So we have a lot of events in town, most of which are sponsored by the Visitors Bureau. But we also have outside events that come and start to use our facilities. I had gone last year through different iterations of a type of form that would be useful or that would fit Wilmington well. We've reached a point, though, with this year that we would like to take some kind of action on that so that other groups who are waiting to hear from us will have the right kind of form and understand whether they're going to be required to pay a permit fee. And it also identifies, protecting the town via insurance and indemnification. But we haven't gotten that done yet. And I know that the the Historical Society has already gained approval from the county for use of the county roads for their Whiskey Fest. So I sort of split it down the middle, figuring if we can't have a permit form approved tonight, we could at least hear from the Historical Society and get them approved going forward so that they can start making their own plans and get ready for the event. But I've invited them to be a guest. I welcome you, Karen, and your colleagues. I think we've reached a time when you kindly provided us with lots of documents and materials. The last agreement that we see, appears like it's 2007. So, if we can hear from you about what you hope to see in the future in terms of cooperation with the town, that would be great too.
Sure.
Thanks.
I have a document to pass out to each of you. There's more than enough there for you. Good evening, everyone. And I want to thank the town board for all its, for helping to shape the town, first of all. Our town's history is your history, and your history is our town's history. And each of you and each of your families have done a great deal of contribution to the history of our town and to its prosperity, etc. Tim, your family has, your grandmother came to this town and established a girls' camp and she also is very artistic, and I think probably more people in your family have probably gained at that as well. And Laura, your family supported the ski industry and the history of that, and the history of Santa's workshop and favor. You also
I'm from Lake
you've been you served as the town's attorney at one point as well, and you're servicing now. We appreciate your service as town supervisor. Also, Darren, your family has been here for a while, and we appreciate all of the construction efforts and those kinds of things that your family has helped the town with. And Tina, you're a Lawrence and a Preston, and you go back to your family, the Lawrences go back to 1811, so there's a whole lot to say there. But all of those things will be showcased in our new building as time goes on. I'll talk about the building just very briefly, and then I'm going to plan on giving you each something that you can take home and peruse. I'm not going to get into that tonight because I don't want to take up your time. So I do want to thank you for your past and current support, supplying temporary space in the building. It used to be up here, but now it's downstairs, and support of our mission to preserve and interpret the documents, the photographs, the artifacts of Wilmington to help us really to help the town engage, educate, and share with residents and visitors the unique stories and local cultures of our town, of Wilmington, and of the Whiteface Mountain region, and of the greater Adirondack community as well. Some things you may or may not know, we do have a membership of 158, so that's not, we have some representatives in the audience wearing their Whiskey Run shirts, just to give you an idea of that there are some people here from the Historical Society. We have 2,035 followers on Facebook, so that expands our reach even further. We have 31 businesses in town support the Whiskey Run and Whiskey Festival. Some of those from Lake Placid, actually, so they're reaching into our town as well. I'd like to talk about the cost benefit of the Historical Society to the town. In 2020, when we back up a second, when we apply for a grant, we often apply and have to supply in-kind services. So we normally tell them the in-kind services relative to the grant that we are asking for. But just for tonight, I'm telling you all of the hours that the Historical Society puts in. In 2023, because I haven't had a chance to do all of 2024s yet, but 2023, the Historical Society provided 4,324 volunteer hours. In New York State, when we do an in-kind service, you multiply that by $36. So that's $155,664 in in-kind service that the Historical Society supplies to the town of Wilmington. I know that we send out our annual newsletter and other things, and we're on Facebook, so you all know a lot of the things that we do as a Historical Society. But you don't know all of it because we're like an iceberg. A lot of what we do is unseen. And I want to tell you a couple things where we have had an impact in the past that you may not be aware of. The stone bridge in the middle of town. We served as a Historical Society on that committee in 2013, 14, 15. And the state came and, we had all these meetings and we told the state people what we wanted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, by around August, they came back with their rendition of the bridge they thought we wanted. It was It was identical to a bridge over the Northway. All of us in the room were dead silent because that is not what we asked for in any way, shape, or form. I usually don't get angry. I usually am pretty calm, but I have a long fuse, but a big explosion. So there were cabinets behind me. I reached into the cabinet, took out the book that we had just finished, and I, just like this, she was sitting there. They were sitting there. There were three of them. And I handed them the book, and I went, I kind of slammed the book down. I slammed the book down, and I said, okay, we know we're a small community, and you're providing something for us in a bridge. But this community has built a highway up a mountain. This community has built a theme workshop, first of its kind in America. This community has built a ski center and has hosted through skiing, has hosted the 1980 Olympics as part of it. And I went on with a few more things. So I said, so even though we're only a town of 1,300 people, we think big and we do big things. So I think you can provide us with the bridge that we want. And you could hear a pin drop because I usually don't talk like that. And so the next meeting was going to be in November. I think of November, maybe the end of September, I don't remember. It was early fall. And it was going to be for the whole community. And it was going to be the final rendition of the bridge. So there was a screen behind the woman, the same woman. I was sitting in the front row. She looked at me and she said, I think you're going to like what we have to say. So instead of a $3 million bridge, we got a $5 million bridge. And the bridge that we have now, which does look similar, at least in structure, to the stone bridge, is what we have. All because of maybe the Historical Society and others who served on that committee. Whiteface Highway construction, we served on that committee as well. And so I spent, the first place the state came was to the Historical Society to get materials from us, photos and documents and that kind of thing as to the history of the highway. I spent 9 hours with a gentleman from the state of New York downstairs. It was downstairs in our basement with all our stuff. And they used that as a basis from which to start for the highway, for the reconstruction of the highway in whatever year that was, I'm sorry. And then they came back to us because there was a problem. They couldn't find a particular culvert. So, of course, on our committee is Doug Wolf, and he took our materials, etc., and he was able to physically lead them to where there should be a culvert, and it was hidden. He was able to show them that. So we had an impact there on the highway as well. Wilmington cemeteries, we have provided financial support for that, and we also took a course on cleaning cemetery stones. And to date, Guy Stevenson has done most of it, but to date we have done about 150 headstones within our town cleaning. And if you want to know how to clean them, we have all the documentation and the right kinds of materials to use so that you're not destroying the headstone. We often help Don and the town clerk with genealogical records and town records assistance. We do that free of charge. Town codes and construction questions as it pertains to historical buildings. Sometimes they, I don't know if they bypass you, but they certainly come to us originally to ask us about a building that's historical and what do we need to do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so we provide that kind of information to architects and construction people. The The LWRP, we served on that committee, and so part of your LWRP, from which you get grants, I add that document was in part written by the Wilmington Historical Society. So we do things for the Historical Society. We're asking that you help us in supporting our whiskey run on an annual basis, so that we know that a year ahead of time we can ask people to to commit to being a part of our committee, not our committee, but be a part of our fundraiser. It is a fundraiser specifically to the building. I'm going to talk just for a second about the building. We will be adding to the town infrastructure with our building. It's not going to belong to you, it will belong to the Historical Society, but the Historical Society is a 501c3, and we're not an ordinary 501c3, but a 501c3 chartered by the New York State Education Department, not by the Charities Bureau exactly. So we fall under a different category. Our category is equal to schools and libraries. So they charter schools, libraries, and historical societies all under the same umbrella. So we're chartered by the state of New York Education Department. But our building, therefore, is kind of quasi-governmental. I don't know how to say that exactly. We're not a private organization per se either. That building is going to be available to the town and townspeople. It will add meeting space, lecture space, and display space all in one room. It'll have room for 75 people. One of the things that I went after grants with was the fact that a year ago we had an election and a meeting that needed more space, so we had to take fire trucks out of the building, out of our fire department, and make enough space to have people attend a meeting. So in our space, you will have that space. You'll have space for at least 75 people, and we would be giving that to the town for the town to use free of charge. We don't intend to charge you anything. We intend to have art shows and music and things like that can be there as well. Our society, our building will not only be preserving history, but it'll be promoting the town and creating a sense of community. And again, note that all of our Whiskey Run and Whiskey Festival proceeds go into that building fund. So, do you have any questions for me? Yep.
I might, but what that's the board if they want to. Anyway, when do you think your building may be done?
We have a grant that you may have heard about. We have a $697,000 grant from the New York State Council on the Arts. Mm-hmm. We have about over $250,000 in our bank account also. So we have close to $1 million. It's about $2 million building. So the rest we are going to be starting a capital campaign very shortly, and it will be working for the remainder of the funds. Okay, and we're hoping to start the building either fall or spring, fall of 2025 or spring 2026. We would like to start it. I would like to give you one other thing so that you can take it home. It's not something that I need to be reading right now, but for your information as the town board, whoops, I am, whoa, goodness gracious. Okay, I'm giving you a packet, and also I'm inviting you to become a member of, if you're not a member, I'd like you to become a member. And anyone else here, you're very welcome to become a member of the Historical Society. Over there on that stand, there are some more brochures of our membership brochures from 2024. But don't worry, that would get you membership all the way through June of 2026. At this time of year, we push it toward the following year. So there's a brochure, there's my contact information, there's more information about our building.
Thank you. So
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
let me just, two comments. One of which is that I think the town has been finding, getting permission from Whiteface to use the lodge for any kind of public hearing event or your town meeting. I think they've been a little less agreeable about that for a number of years. And so having the space seems like it could be used for sure.
If I could interject, this is also all ADA compatible, which would also answer that question as far as up at the ASRC as well.
The other thing is you mentioned the waterfront revitalization plan. One of the things on the agenda tonight is moving forward on a comprehensive plan. And presumably the Wilmington Historical Society will be asked by those consultants to assist with the historical parts of the report that they give. So thank you.
So we would appreciate, again, whatever support you can give us toward our whiskey run. We would very much appreciate that, since it's all actually coming back to the town anyway.
Thank you. So what we're moving on to next would be the reports from the departments, and the first would be the highway department.
Hi, everybody. Just a few things. So you're aware, Avery, there's been a salt shortage. So all through the United States. So they weren't prepared for a severe winter. So working through that, we got 3 loads of salt today. So
Excellent.
we'll be good for hopefully another couple weeks. Also with that is parts for cutting edges and stuff, springs and bolts and stuff, which we're waiting on, which I have spare parts and stuff, but that's another shortage we're having. And then also I was at the Highway Association meeting, and we got another grant for Wilmington for $2,500 for salt reduction. So I'll be using that for another weather camera or road camera for salt reduction. So that was good news at the meeting. I'm just awarded another one. So
Okay. Anybody on that?
Does that money have to be used for that?
for anything regarding salt reduction.
25,000 for a camera?
What's that?
25,000 for a camera?
No, 2,500.
100, hardly, great.
Yeah, 2,500.
I was gonna say this, had a
Yeah.
camera,
So.
open my ears, sorry.
Yeah, so I'll use it for that, and then I'll see what, usually those cameras like $2,000, so I'll see what else we can use the rest of it for the salt reduction program that they have going on. But other than that, we're just plowing every day, and
May I ask how's where are you at with the number of hours that we've had a pretty good winter this year, so.
their overtime hours and stuff, they're in so the last 3 or 4 years, we've had, mild winters.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there a long time, so this is a normal winter this year it's,
Okay.
a normal winter. So they're ranging from every 2 weeks, 30 to 40 hours overtime, every 2 weeks pay period. It varies. This week was 28. The week before was like 39. Or the pay period before that was 39.
And they're holding up?
They are.
Okay.
Yep. So.
Thank you.
Anybody else for Louis? Thanks. Water department. Ed gave us his report on the usage in our boxes. I'd like to point out the giant book we have here. Ed gave us a copy. This is the official. This is the water system asset management. Some of you have. We had the engineer consultants come in and visit with the board, and so this is the final product. We do have a digital copy of it somewhere. Ed has it. He's got it on a thumb drive. He'll have to give it to us. Just sort of as a brief overview, the county was awarded a grant to hire engineers to go to the various towns and do actual physical inventories of what they call like the vertical structure of their water and sewer, so the plants and the equipment and the fences and stuff. And they create a spreadsheet with each and every part inventoried with the part number, and they created a probable failure rate, and when should we start budgeting to plan to replace these, and how many years out, and things like that. And if I could speak for Ed right now, some of it was pretty useful stuff for him to look at. He's got a lot in his head, Ed. And so, you could sit there and look at it and say, oh, okay, it will be almost impossible for us to find a part for this particular part of the water pumping plant. So we'd have to replace it. So what's the likelihood of the cost of that? How should we plan for it and things like that? So this is sort of an overall compendium for him and the board to refer to, so they can try to anticipate things that we know are coming down the road and make budgetary moves for it. Parks. Hello, John.
Oh, we've been busy too with snow. That's snowing quite a bit. Sidewalks, parking lots, everything we do with snow removal, moving snow. And ice rink's been super busy and real successful this year with the weather.
Thank you. By the way, I think that was I closed up the youth center one evening. It was my shift, and so I went up there, and it was nice to see a family out there having fun. I had to break it to them. They had to take their stuff out of the youth center. Take your shoes out, put them in your car, and you can continue skating until the lights turn off. I don't know when that is, because what time do they have?
They're on a photo. So.
Okay, do they go off? That's it. So, and also, the number of times even when the school's been called off, you drive around heading out of this community circle, and you look over and you see tons of kids who are off that day, enjoying themselves.
I lock the youth center usually on my way home from hockey practice or whatever I'm doing between 8:30 and 10.
Yep.
I do it on at my convenience on my own. I just when I'm out, I lock it.
It's getting used. How's the equipment that was the skates that we have in there? Everything seemed to be
Everything's all good.
nothing trash.
People are real respectful of the building, and nothing's been. We haven't had any problems.
Except for when I closed the closet door that night when I was in charge.
You got the flooring, right?
Huh?
You got the flooring?
Yep. Yeah, everyone's really thankful, and it gets a lot of all these people.
Yeah, and we're again, it's a nice winter for it, because the real challenge for John and Ashton and the highway guys too is this thaw freeze stuff, and it gets damaged. I mean, maybe this is the last year for the liner. Last year of the useful
We
life.
could use another one
Next year. Yeah.
A
So,
lot of people. That's the one thing that you can't really. It just
mhm.
kind of the nature of the beast. People think dates and sharp things.
Right.
And as years go on, it will. 3 years is a pretty good average. I mean, you can push it a little bit farther, but it just gets harder and harder to make it.
And it just seems to me it's more at risk when it gets softer and everybody's still trying to skate on it too, right? They cut through it.
Yeah, keeping people off it when they shouldn't be on it is a challenge. But
John, I know you're a proponent of the town building a skating pavilion. What do you think, if we wanted to do it, we didn't want to build something grandiose, but utilitarian, something very functional, how much do you think we could do it for if we wanted to build something functional, but not elaborate?
Cliff's brother Steven is actually getting quotes for material. He's offered his time, I've offered my time. I'm sure other people would offer their time to put it up. I don't wanna, I don't really 30 to 30-ish.
30 to 40,000 in materials, kind of what we were at.
So,
But that's very early.
right. So,
And everything changes. It could
Yeah.
be 50,000 tomorrow and it could be 25 the week after that.
you know, whether it's 25 or whether it's 50, that's a lot different from $500,000. So I think a lot of people, including me, would be much more excited about that if it were to cost.
I mean, it would cut down on the max amount of labor. Like, every time it snows, we have to clean it off. Every time it rains, we could have 100 hours worth of work on it, and it rains and freezes, and you're back where you started. You know, and you get 10, 12 inches of snow on it. You don't want to drive equipment on it because, you know, snow melts on the exhaust, and it freezes instantly when it hits, and you get these black, oily spots, and, you know, you put a lot of work into it. It's just, every community that takes it seriously ends up putting a roof over it. You know, like, or you just can hope for the best if you feel that's the way you're doing it.
What you're talking about would have a roof, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that would also extend the use into the season earlier in the fall and later.
Keep the sun off it, you would probably get it open, you know, a couple weeks earlier, and certainly stay open later because of the sun and the wind. It's just nuke it. Right.
So, you know, I've said in the past that I was pretty lukewarm about the skating pavilion at best, but that's when it's $500,000. If it's $50,000, you should do it.
Yeah, if you want weather vanes, you know, iron works and stone works, and it's gonna be expensive. If you want a full iron with a thin roof that keeps the weather off it and the sun off it, it's a lot cheaper. But it's all what you wanna do with everything.
You know, I know that there are concerns related to the events vis-a-vis the Parks Department. I'm not sure if we should discuss those now or later on.
But, yeah, we could, you know, I think later on, and we get further along with the agenda, or we would, could reserve that for, the work session or something along those lines. But, I have one question for you, John. Laura had mentioned, could we have budgeted for a, children's, you know, what was it, playground piece? Could we get like a, updated quote for that? We have the funds, and you know, if we could make a resolution to appropriate that and get that ordered, would that be okay?
You say a couple things about the skating pavilion.
Sure. Go ahead. Here, Darren, please.
So I totally agree with you, John and Cliff, that, you know, the materials are probably in the $40,000 to $50,000 range. However, I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, depending on what we put into it, like location, being site prep. You know, are we going to put a concrete floor in it? I mean, Cliff knows concrete alone, at least if we were going to go as big as what we had originally talked, which was 80 by 120. I mean, that amount of concrete alone is probably $40,000. So, I mean,
The size downscale significantly, like half of that maybe, John?
I think Stephen and I think it was like 60 by 100.
Yeah, I think it was 65.
And we also, if we have a liner, you don't need concrete. I mean,
right. It just depends what we're going to use it for. So when the original talk was about a pavilion up there, it was a multi-use pavilion and not just used for a skating rink, which we could have craft fairs under and different events. So when you get into concrete and you do that type of thing, it's obviously going to add to the costs, along with labor, because, you know, if it was donated, that's one thing. But when those original figures were, that's hiring an outside firm at prevailing wage, which is probably $80 to $100 an hour. So some of these figures obviously are going to change, and labor was a huge part of that. I think over 250,000 of it was labor before. So it really just depends on size and how.
I don't think you would necessarily, I mean, we all walk on grass, right? I don't think you would necessarily need cement under it for it to be a multi-use pavilion. I mean, if we could put picnic tables under it. The thought was behind the dugout on the hill, which would require removing some trees and some prep work.
Right.
But the way the sun goes is gonna be the best spot for shade.
Right.
And sun.
Like I said, I don't disagree with what you were saying. I just wanted to make the public and the rest of the board aware that depending on how big and how extravagant we go, those costs are very conservative. I mean, like I said, concrete alone would probably be $30,000 if we poured concrete.
What about pavement? Because if we build it as a pole barn with set posts, then we could pave it after the fact. I mean, pavement, I think, is a lot cheaper than concrete, Kevin.
Seemed to work pretty good on the last skating rink.
Yeah.
Right, skate park is now.
I mean, that's just an option.
Well, absolutely. It's just something that we all have to brainstorm about. So.
Thank you.
And that one would go up much quicker. So we, like, if you go up there, particularly Saturday at, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, there could be 20-ish people. The rink that's there right now is 100 by 100. Probably, I mean, if you went there with your friends, it would comfortably support 12-ish people. But if like you and 5 people went, and Cliff and 5 people went, and I brought my son with 4 of his friends, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? Because everyone gets a small piece of it. With a roof and a liner, and that would just go together much faster and require much less maintenance. It would pretty much be, quickly put some water on it when it's bad and you're done. Then I could do the one we've always done down low, which would have just, if there's a family with children up above and they're there first, they should get first dibs on the rink. And then if 5 people showed up and wanted to play hockey, and the rink down below was in whatever shape it was in, that's just what it is. But then that would help with the amount of people and overflow.
Because our rink's becoming like our beach. People are loving it.
And like everyone's, like with events, for instance, people say it brings people into town. Like it brings people into town.
It does.
In their shop.
More people are coming.
6 pizza boxes out of it, out of the weekend. And like, if it's doing this, it does the same thing. People feel passionate about it.
Thank you, John. The next is codes. Doug gave us his monthly report. So we've collected $7,200 in fees for 2025. I think it would probably be okay to have Doug report to us about how the collection efforts are going and what he's anticipate, how many are out there and things like that. But we'll try to get that at like the next go around. So that's it for the board reports from departments. Colin, you want to? I'm not calling you out. You're here.
I mean, I could go if you like.
Thank
I
you.
could do it in 2 minutes or a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us
less.
what's going on with the visitors.
Oh, yeah. No, it's fine. So, hello, everyone. Colin. So, town dinner, March 23rd. I sent out yesterday mailed out 62 invites to the newcomers. Thank you for the tax map, or not tax, but the newcomer list that I got from Nicole.
Nicole
sent me that, so it was very helpful. The meeting with Megan, the manager at the Hungry Trout, this Thursday to determine the price. And once that's been set, I'll open up the online registration and you guys can start signing up for this. At that same time, we have our Citizen of the Year is honored during that. And so I've sent out applications via social medias and emails. And I have forms in the office if you'd like to come pick them up if there's someone you would like to nominate for this year. With the nomination, keep in mind, it'd be great to have someone that is here to receive it. That would be just nice to honor someone that actually could be there to receive it, physically receive it. Please spread the word about this. And the next event that I've been working on is the Two Fly. That's May 15th through the 17th. And the food vendor and band have been secured for that Thursday night already. The registration website has been built, and I'm meeting with Evan Botcher tomorrow to kind of get it edited by him, because it's the first time I've had him put his eyes on it since he's done this event before. And once that gets vetted through Evan, then that site will be live and that registration will be open to the public. And our uphill races, the registration has been open for a couple of months now on those. The bike race has 52 registered currently. The foot race only has 3, so spread the word that the foot race is fun. The timer company is coming back that we've used in the past. I've reached out to NICEF to help out with the transportation down the mountain. That's something that had been done. I've had a couple meetings with the Sport Council to discuss the logistics about this event. The music festival on July 26th, all the music has been booked for that. And we're working on sponsorship and procuring a stage, and our next meeting for that is next week. For the mountain bike festival, I'm talking about the mountain bike festival. We're now a partner of that. Beta became a member, and so I was at that meeting, and they're on it again, as they usually are. They have all the music, and few vendors have been secured for that event, and they're pretty excited. One different thing that they're going to do, for those of you that are aware of it, Friday night had usually been kind of centered either at a parking lot near a mountain bike destination or either at a local restaurant. This year they want to have it at the festival, at the Preston Field there. Sorry, I misspoke. The youth center where the skate park is.
The park.
You say again?
The park.
The park. Thank you. The park. They want to have it, and they want to have a cater service. Have that evening cater, like food there and whatnot. The Festival of Color vendor registration went online last Tuesday, and we currently have 8 vendors signed up. So feel free. That is a shareable link on social media. Feel free to share that. Or people can come into the office. Shakespeare at the Beach is in the works for August. There may be a evening performance of a Shakespeare play, which would be kind of fun. Thanks for connecting me with that. Yep. And I've secured some bands for the Thursday night. I have a list that I've submitted to the town of about half.
Right. So the Visitors Bureau is helping the town out for a number of years now. Nicole has pretty much run that among the other 20 things that it does at the town hall. So I asked the Visitors Bureau for some help with arranging the bands, and then because we were fortunate enough to have Carissa start this year, Carissa can help also out with the logistics. So Colin sort of handed that back over to the town. The town has already budgeted money for those music events, and Colin did the first bit of legwork, and then how the way in which these bands get paid. We will be following what the town typically does, and hopefully that's something Carissa will help us help Nicole out with too. So thank you.
Thank you. That's all I have, and feel free to stop by any day, Monday through Friday. I'm there 9 to 3.
I had one question.
Sure.
What was the number of the newcomers?
So 62 invites went out. However, there might be more.
Is that a big number?
I don't know.
Does anyone know that? I had to stop and think about that for a moment.
Yeah.
I think we had 6.
Yeah. So we had this list that I was handed that it had a bunch of addresses, 62 names, 62 entries on there. Some of them were transfers of properties. Some of them were out of town. Some of them are just empty lots. So out of those 62, we might only get 6. Okay. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
I sat there. 62 went by me, and I said,
no. Well, the maximum capacity of the Hungry Crowd is 80. Yeah. So yeah.
If they all come,
Yeah.
I guess somebody else is going to have to give it up.
Their party. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Colin. Appreciate it. Okay, so this is the time for the reports from the boards, and Tim is first.
Thank you everyone for coming. All the familiar faces and the new faces too. So it's nice. On behalf of the board, or maybe on behalf of myself, this is Don the Macy's tie. So,
Thank you.
so thank you for the great. I was given a collection of Don's ties.
He wore it at every board meeting.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Great presentation. I don't really have any, and I don't have any questions about your presentation. I hope that there isn't a narrative that I or we don't support the Historical Society's work, because I and we do. There's two issues, and one with the events there are two issues, and one may be not discussed tonight, and one may be. And I guess we'll discuss that when we discuss the facilities use agreement. What I've always said is simply that the town's contribution to these events should be bed tax money, not property tax money. And I've been saying that all along. We even went so far as to pass a resolution that any town employees' overtime for the events would be paid for through bed tax. But it was never actually implemented, that's not the only time that something like that has happened in the past few years. So, moving on. The political calendar in New York State begins early in the year. It actually begins this month, unfortunately for us all. To run as a Republican or a Democrat for town office, candidates will start circulating their petitions in late February. The last day to turn in a petition to run as a representative of a recognized party, Republican, Democrat, working family, Democratic, working family, conservative, April 3rd. The last day to turn in a petition to run as an independent is May 27th. And don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that the number of signatures you need to run as an independent is between 30 and 40. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure. This year, 2 town board seats are up for election, as well as the town supervisor's seat. I'm almost certainly not going to run for re-election to the town board. So I'm glad everyone's sitting so no one fainted and everyone is comfortable. In related news, there's a open alternate position on the zoning board. In the past few years, we all have learned how important it is to have diligent, fair-minded, and far-sighted people on these boards. So please let any of us know if you're interested in serving. Similarly, the town still needs 2 assessors, and those are paid positions. So please let any of us know if you're interested in learning more. So I've run for office twice in the past 4 years and received more than 300 votes each time. At a minimum, hundreds of people in Wilmington support the ideas I've been putting forth. So as part of my attempt to address my constituents' most pressing concerns, I have drafted 4 proposed amendments to the town's zoning ordinance, and I will share them with anyone who would like. Email is wilmington@outlook.com. So my remaining time on this board, that's my big focus, is getting these amendments adopted into law. In the near future, Laura and I are going to call for a special meeting to allow the town board to discuss the amendments and decide whether to move forward with the process of enacting them into law. So I'd like to speak, this is a abrupt segue. Moving on, comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan from 1975 told us there's currently no unified architectural style on the main commercial corridor, and we should work toward that goal. We should require smaller signs that use natural colors and materials and create less visual impact. We should work to preserve our sceneries and I never know how to pronounce this word, vistas, limit commercial development outside of the hamlet, and channel commercial energy toward the center of town. We should diversify our economy. And then this is a direct quote. There is a shortage of both sale and rental prices there is a shortage of both sale and rental units at prices within the means of lower income families. Consider the housing needs of year-round residents and promote more rental and sale units at lower prices. And natural resource protection and economic development must be identified as mutually supportive objectives. So in the past 50 years, it's debate. I'm not sure how much progress we've made towards accomplishing these objectives identified in the previous comprehensive plan. So we have to be realistic about what a comprehensive plan will achieve. Creating a comprehensive plan is all well and good, and I've been told multiple times from multiple people that it needs to be done to receive state grant money, so we have to do it. But these comprehensive plans are aspirational documents with no force. And we recently had a committee that produced an excellent document. It didn't go that far after the town board got the document. So more important than what is on the document, what is in the documents is who is sitting in these seats. And that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Darren, you're next.
I'm going to stick to the facts and not go off on a campaign announcements, but a couple things. Talked to Doug. He has some concerns about our costs at the landfill. Thinks that our fees are too low at this point and it should be raised, and it is seeing some more traffic since the Black Brook transfer station has been closed. Right now we're at 12 cents a pound. I did call around. Keene is at 20. Lake Placid is only at 9, but they have a $7 minimum up to 30 pounds. So anybody that comes there pays a minimum of $7 if it's under 30 pounds, which we don't have. And sometimes people are coming for $1. And that's kind of the difference there, even though they are at 9 cents. He thinks we should raise to 20 cents and match the town of Keene, and then probably do like a $2 minimum, because each punch would be like for 10 pounds, $2 minimum. It would keep the cards nice and simple and basically just do like $10, $20, and $40 cards and keep everything easy. He said it'll help with change. Right now, the way it is with $6 and $12, he said it's a lot more difficult to take care of. So a couple things I just want to circle back to that we've talked about in the past is cemeteries. Spring will be here in a couple months. The roads are going to be a disaster, so I think we need to talk about a game plan and how we're going to come up with those funds, or how we're going to move forward with that. I know we did put some money in the budget. Hopefully we can move forward and talk to Louis about doing some of those repairs to make them a little more
Not wash out.
yeah, and a little more user friendly, because right now they're in pretty bad shape at times. Last year we had some issues, not really issues, but a shortage and deficiency in our boats at the beach. And we did buy a couple new ones, but I'd like to see us do, if we're going to continue that program, buy a few new boats every year, so we have a good selection and we're not renting things that really should be in the landfill. And again, a few months away, but it seems like to get anything passed, it takes us a few months and
Yep.
purchased and stuff. I had, and we all got emails from Doug Haney from Ride for the River. I know he wants to get on the agenda for one of our meetings. I had indicated to him, hopefully that can happen for the February work session, and we can be talked to about his event. It has been there for 14 years. He does have some ideas on how to help with the problems that we had last year, but he would really like to utilize Wilmington and our facilities again to keep that going. And I feel that it is a good organization, and they do bring a lot of good to the area and the Ausable River. The last thing I'd just like to say is thank you to Karen. It was a good presentation, and you definitely have my support for future events, and we will talk about it later. But I would like to see the town, and maybe we can get it passed through tonight, give you like a 3-year contract, so you don't have to do this every year, and for the next 3 years that facility is yours to use, and that we don't have to worry about it. I'd also like to see the town help offset, just like we did last year, for the insurance costs, and we have ability to do that. I think that cost you $1,200 or something last year. So I'd like to see the town pledge at least $1,000 a year to help you offset that, because I believe in what you're doing for the town, and the amount of things that you do for the town and community as a whole is really irreplaceable, especially with the new building and stuff coming up. So I'm not in favor of charging anything, and I would like to see the town, pledge some money to help you do these events. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Laura.
First of all, congrats to Carissa and Stephanie Gates for their passing their PMG certification for the town. I did attend the planning board meeting last week, and I wanted to say thank you to Karen. Thank you for coming. It was a great presentation. Colin, thank you for the updates. That being said, I am going to talk about facility use because this is my report. I do see the value in events that come to Wilmington to some extent, not as much as everybody, but certainly everyone's welcome to their opinion. The amount of town monies that are used to aid the running of these events year after year after year certainly does not amount to pennies. And we do have a super tiny parks department. It is, they do a lot. These events are certainly beneficial to the town. No one is arguing about that. But there is a flip side to that coin, that without these beautiful pavilions, parks, and beaches, the parks department, the events would not be able to happen. Regarding the charging of fees and how outlandish it appears to be that we are asking for a fee or recommending a fee, I'm going to refer to the following. Some of the fees that have recently been adjusted by the town board and that affect the actual taxpayers are the following. We increased the building permit fees, the water district fees, the tap fees, the subdivision fees, and the short-term rental fees. We're also talking about the dump fees. I would argue that the taxpayers that are paying these increased fees for services are also very important to the town, just as the events are. They add to the tax base with new developments and builds, as well as the perpetual revenue stream with water fees alone, pun intended. I'm not quite sure why there is such an argument for not charging a relatively microscopic amount. Well, we haven't decided on the fee. I don't anticipate that it's going to be astronomical for the amount of money compared to the revenue that some of these fundraising events do bring into these organizations. The non-for-profits are exempt from a lot. Personally, I think that this should be something that they should be charged for. For the non-for-profits, one way to offset the associated fees with holding these events is by adding a fee to the charge that you charge the vendors, the race participants, or the campers. I don't believe that it's such a far-fetched idea. Finally, if we are trying to find different ways to support these events, we have occupancy tax funds to be used for just such items. Verbatim from the Roost website, the community tourism enhancement funds are to be used for improving the quality of the life of Essex County residents and enhancing the overall experience for visitors. I would say that these events fit that bill. Tim had previously proposed, I don't know which meeting that was at, but that we look into a grant program similar to the one that Lake Placid has, which is called the LEAF Fund, which helps organizations locally that benefit the community. And then possibly we could look at initiating something like that to help your organizations in the future. And that would be a utilization of that fund rather than it being solely on you guys. I believe we could move forward with that idea. Thank you for attending and allowing me to share my thoughts.
Thank you. Tina?
All I have to ask is, have we started looking for lifeguards yet? I know they're going to start looking for lifeguards.
No, I heard from one,
Okay.
and we have to, and I know I
We're
have
starting to secure, I know other towns are starting to.
lifeguards, the beach.
Lifeguards, the beach.
You know, it may be snowing.
Towns are
and
starting to secure lifeguards for the summer, so.
Oh,
that's why I
Wilmington
just
is so attractive now
I'm
that
looking for them.
they'll all come back because they found it fun last year. But anyway, I'll be in touch with them pretty soon, and yeah, we have to do, you know, they need to have their CPR certification every year. And then the other things are, you know, we have to double check and see if they're certified with their, you know, their waterfront lifeguarding stuff and things like that.
But I do agree, I think if we're gonna talk about the agreements and what we're gonna charge, I think we should do that tonight, what we're gonna visit and all that, and just figure out what we're gonna do. What our base price is gonna be for the agreement.
Sure.
That's all I have.
That's okay. Thanks. All right, so it's my turn. So on the agenda, you'll see I have updates on the pro housing certification. We passed a resolution, this board. It started in December of 2023. It got pushed off, and we approved it towards the end of January of 2024. Somebody mentioned here before that the way the state works, it's almost like we have to do a certain jump through certain hoops in order to qualify for certain status in these grants. Pro housing certification is one of those ones that they're looking to see communities do. Keene's done it, St. Armand's done it, and a lot of our neighbors have. What we discovered last week was there are other things the state asked us to do besides the certification. So we've filed a letter of intent. They're emailing us a spreadsheet in which we put in the number of single-family building permits and building permits for residential structures within a 3-year period, whatever the spreadsheet says. We fill that in, we submit it. They discover we're too small. Then they accept the resolution that we passed last year. And then we become on the website pro housing certified. Right now it's a total blank on the website for us. So we're undertaking that steps. The person who's helping us with that is the same person who's been helping all the other nearby towns. And it's a guy named Adam DeSantis, who's the economic development director at Roost. And he's a long experience with state grants and housing. So that's that. The FEMA hazard mitigation plan. Well, I spent a long day at the Essex County Emergency Services Building going over the town. So in order for towns to even be entertained by FEMA, we need to have an updated emergency mitigation plan. If we don't have one of those and we suffer a FEMA-like catastrophe, they won't entertain any kind of claim for us. So it's going to be a largish document. The county has hired a consultant to put it together. We sat there with our neighbors and talking about, is it ice storms? Is it wind? You know, you're flooding for Jay and Keene. You know, when Keene did all the type of remediation after Hurricane Irene, suddenly Jay had all these problems with water. So Wilmington is, knock on wood, pretty lucky in many respects, but the idea is to list as many as you can. And so I will share that on our website if I missed something. and some website. I'll do Facebook. Our website's a mess. That kind of stuff. And we have a couple more weeks, and then I'll submit it to the consultant who puts together the thing. Chris has been helping me with this. She's updated all the information on the last plan we had was from 2000 or something, so the names are all wrong. So once we have that done, there's no guarantee that FEMA will entertain us. To be honest, we're awfully small community, but they won't even entertain it at all unless we have one of these plans. So the county's giving this to us through county funds, which of course we're all paying for as taxpayers. But that will be coming out soon in the next month or so. We'll have an updated mitigation plan, and it has to be adopted by the board. So I'll present it to the board. They get to review it, and we resolve to adopt that as our plan. Tim mentioned the comprehensive plan. We have state grants are all contingent upon us having an updated comprehensive plan. Karen mentioned that the local waterfront revitalization plan had a sort of like a mini light comprehensive plan. That was designed to help those grants that were directed towards those projects at the time, which is the dam, the beach, and all sorts of other things that Randy had built into that. Again, most of our neighbors are going through getting the comprehensive grant. We have a opportunity to get a grant by July from the Department of State called a Smart Growth Grant. We have to have a local match of 10%. And on tonight's agenda is a resolution asking this board to authorize the supervisor to start that process. And then we'll also have to invite the community again to volunteer and be part of a comprehensive plan. The town of Jay, I went to an open house at their school where they invited the community out to talk about these things. It's a stage process, and it'll take a little while. And then once the comprehensive plan is accepted, it helps guide zoning. But also it opens up what they call the project priority matrix at the state. They won't entertain us at all unless the community has one of those things. So tonight I have that on there. Oh, that's it. So that's that. The STR law update. We've been asked to go review the STR law findings and suggestions from the committee. I'm suggesting that we postpone that primarily because the state of New York passed a law now which will charge sales tax on SDRs. Also, but the law has items in it that we don't have in our local law. So what the state is doing is they're sending it to the counties. The county will look at it and come up with its own local law type deal. State law trumps county law trumps local law, unless we opt out of it. But I'd like to see what the county throws in, and then we just do one more shot at it after, because I know one thing for sure, and the state law is a requirement that they provide the municipality proof of insurance when they're registering. I don't think that's in ours. So the proof of that they have a comprehensive liability insurance in case some of the people there get injured or burned up or something terrible. So I know that's there, and I would wait to see if when the dust settles at the county level, and then go back and we can adopt the law with those changes and on it. And finally, generator replacement. Okay, so we have Darren obtained 4 different contractors to come here to take a look at replacing the generator. Part of the FEMA hazard mitigation, this place is identified as a shelter center in case of an emergency. The generator is necessary for us to get that, the heat on and things like that. So Darren obtained 4 people, I think, came to see, or 3.
3 people came, but I talked to 4
Yeah,
or
okay.
5, and a couple of them
Right.
decided that they were interested.
So from that group, we obtained 2 written quotes, and tonight we're going to discuss and go over the Woodhill Electric quote, and then one from Fonzie Smith. And hopefully we can agree to sign a contract, get that generator put in, and it would come from the community enhancement funds. So is there any discussion on the review of the quotes? Anybody look at these? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I want to say thank you for getting these, Darren. I know it was a long process, but I think they're really great. I appreciated the information, and personally, I think we should go with the higher kilowatt one. I think it would be better for our town. We have a 10 right now, right?
Right. So I agree with you. So the public knows that Woodhill did provide the lower quote for the same size generator, which was a 14 kW for this building. It really doesn't have any electric heat anymore, so it would be only used for basically running the furnace and lights, outlets for computers and things like that. They're going to supply the generator, a new transfer switch, and add some additional circuits to be run off the generator to make sure that anything functional needs to be run. But I do agree that we should go with the 14 rather than the 10. Just it gives us the little more ability than what we've had in the past to add extra things to it.
The baseboards in here are not effective. These are not.
Most of these are not even hooked up anymore.
Okay.
Good thing we have a stove.
Yeah, I would like to fire that up. See if it says.
Nature's generator.
Okay, so yeah, that'll be on an item. That resolution is part of E down at the bottom. So
Can I ask you 2 quick questions about things you brought up? Really important.
sure.
Thanks. The comprehensive plan, can you give me and everyone like a sense of the time frame for, I mean, from tonight to when we have a comprehensive plan? Is that, I know it's going to be, I mean, I expect it's going to be at least a year. Do you think it's going to be 2 years? Do you think?
I think the general, it's a year, right? 2 years.
It's gonna be 2 before we have our 90 day.
Okay.
Okay.
It's pretty much a year now, we've been working on it. At about $80,000 cost.
Thank you. Thank you. My other question is related to the STR state law. The last thing I read, and this, like so many of these situations, every time you read something, it's slightly different from the last thing you read. The last thing I read, I'm pretty sure that this isn't, the state law is not going to be a process of amending the state law and it actually going into effect. They're not expecting that to happen until the fall. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's a weird procedural thing. It's a type of bill that was signed and held and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. No, the government said, I know what happened. I'm not sure I can explain it right now, but
Yeah.
right. She agreed to sign it under these conditions that the legislature would amend it, and they're amending it. And
Exactly.
so we're just going to stay put with what we have.
I think so. I think, if we're going to revise it once, look at what the changes that, we have to be consistent with state and county law, at least. I mean, that's the minimum standard. So, I doubt the county's going to throw much into it themselves. So,
Mhm.
but, never know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, so we're moving on to resolutions. The first is the resolution to adopt the facilities use form indemnification and fees. So I will explain that this actual permit application, again, I will go to the is taken from Minerva. And the Minerva has a very busy beach. They have a very active summer season. Lots of people like to use their pavilion, which is the super pavilion of all super pavilions in upstate New York. They have this down, the way in which they manage their town facilities in the summer. So I grabbed this permit application from them. The one thing, coming up to what Darren mentioned with the ride to the river group, I did asterisk the beach reserved for general public during summer beach hours, but maybe that gets changed. Everything else seems to be placing it on the person who wants to use facilities to clean up as much as they can. This is pretty standard. Or responsible for all trash, and things like that. It doesn't fit on this margin, but I'll fix it later. If alcohol is going to be offered and sold, all relevant New York State permits must be submitted before the permit's valid. And then there's $100 refundable security deposit charges. And refunds are not issued for cancellations. The fee structure on the facility use fees, I just took it from Minerva. I mean, I'm just seeing if they think that's reasonable for them. And then the indemnification and contribution agreement, this is they have to sign that they're going to provide the town with a certificate of insurance for $1 million in nature occurrence and $2 million aggregate with us as the additional insured. And that in any case, besides that, they'll indemnify the town against any accidents and things like that that occur on town property. So that's the form. We have a motion and a second to accept it.
I'll make it so we can discuss it.
There's a motion from Laura. Thank you.
I'll second the form.
Okay. So go ahead, Laura.
I did a little brainstorming today, and I had a optional fee schedule that I wanted to share if anyone would entertain it. I was thinking possibly a sliding scale based on a daily rate, which is good when we have multi-day events, and then as well as a fee associated with park department hours, because we do have historical data. And this is across the board. You have no fee for nonprofits, and that's why I brought up what I did today. Almost every event that happens large scale in our town is run by a nonprofit. I can't think of one actually that isn't. So, I mean, considering we're only looking, they're the ones that are utilizing the Parks Department and the facilities for days. I think it would be, I don't know why we're doing the fee schedule when we're not really going to be charging anybody, because we are not charging nonprofits. My recommendation would be a base rate for the day plus an hourly, like hypothetically $100 a day base rate for the location. And then if they utilize the Parks Department, then like a $10 per hour based upon the historical data, which was provided to us by John. So hypothetically, if there's like a one-day event at the beach and they use 13 hours of Park Department labor, it would be $230. Or if it's a 3-day event at the park that uses 24 hours of Park Department labor, it would be $540. Or we just scrap it.
Let's just think about maybe eliminating the nonprofit column, and Wilmington organizations or residents.
But they're all, then it comes, I feel frustrated because we've been talking about this for 10 months and it's going to ultimately result in nothing, because all of the events are operated by Wilmington residents, save for one. So I'm not sure why we've been talking about this for 10 months. If it's, we should have just used what we had, what we approved 2 years ago that was never implemented.
So we talked about this last month about, you guys brought up that John felt that when he's working on these events, he doesn't get a lot of his other work done. That he feels a lot of stuff gets left behind. We had an extra employee But then when we hired a new EMT, we didn't want the extra employee in the parks department, which we could have used for some of that extra stuff on that time. So we've created a new department to put this new EMT employee into, when we could have used that in the parks department to help with some of these events. So maybe we need to reschedule some of the time and hire, I don't know, maybe reschedule and put somebody on just for events. Maybe take them off during the week and put them on for the events, and that'll be that person just for events. Restructure the schedule for one of his employees and put them on for events and not. I don't know, maybe refigure it that way. Or if we offer Karen a donation every year, use that for her event. Don't give her that donation. Maybe do it that way. Maybe there's a different way of doing it. If we offer her a donation, then use that for the fee. I mean, I think there's just different ways we could do it with the people that we're working with that way. I mean, we're going back and forth. I mean, it's been month after month after month. We've sat here banging our heads against the wall trying to figure this out. And I don't think we're going to come up with a rate that we're all going to agree on. I don't think, because each festive is different. What the Festival of Colors does is different than what the Historical Society does, is different than what Dave does. Each one is different on how it's done and what each one does. Some, because a lot of what John does a lot of times is on his normal regular schedule,
That's,
sometimes during the week.
there aren't many events that are on the weekday at 10 o'clock.
But setting up like the tent, don't you do that like on a Friday?
I do.
So that's done during his normal schedule.
But that,
So on the Saturday, maybe we change it over, have one of the other players do the Saturday schedule or something. Maybe that's another way of looking at it.
That's why I recommended a sliding scale and a day rate. That way, if there is an event that utilizes just the park, they pay the day rate. If they utilize the Parks Department, then they have an additional fee for the Parks Department utilization. Because the Ride for the River, from what I remember being discussed, they only utilized the beach and they had a minor amount of our Parks Department utilization. So they would have a $100 fee and not need to have the additional for a parks labor. That's why I'm saying that. So as you're saying that every event is different, we would have a base rate for the rental of the space. And then if they're utilizing extra hour, Parks Department, then it would be an additional cost. This is done around other towns. I have information from Saranac Lake. I have information from Peru. I know Keene charges for facilities. They do at Marcy Field.
No, only thing we charge for Mercy is if I charge for a wedding. I charge for that wedding. But my parks guys just do it on the normal schedule. And
but to reserve Marcy Field,
if
there's
you
a
charge,
fee.
yeah, I charge for a wedding.
That you do for the
Farmers market.
farmers market.
Farmers market is a totally separate agreement that they pay for a
But it's
one-time.
on your fee use thing.
No, that's not on my fee use.
Well,
That's
it's on
on,
the website.
well, no, they come in like, they pay the farmers market's their own group. That's like an Essex County group type thing. They pay their own one-time year agreement. And they pay, and they handle all the agreements for in fact, tonight, they're at the meeting tonight discussing what they're paying back and forth. They're having a discussion on that. That's nothing that I don't handle that when I rent out Marcy Field. They do charge to rent Marcy Field. They do that, but it's a totally separate event that's held something different than, it's not part of the normal rental agreement.
Let's say if you-
Yes.
Well, I know it's our agreement, but it's
Go ahead.
So I'm gonna
Go ahead, Derek.
stick with what I said last month. And even the fee schedule that you have proposed, and even if we raise it to $500 per event on there, and I believe we have 9 events or something like that, that equates to $4,500 a year $4 per resident if you really do that. So I don't feel that the money that we're getting out of it is going to counteract the benefits that Wilmington gets from these events. We have tried for years to bring events to Wilmington, and we've lost events like the car show that we used to have that's gone to Lake Placid, and I would hate to see the Historical Society, obviously they're in Wilmington, but say, well, we're going to have ours down on Jay Green instead because they don't charge us. Or we have the Festival of Colors go to a different town. To me, the $300 or $500 that we're getting out of these few events is a drop in the bucket compared to the benefits that the town's getting out of it. And as far as the facilities agreement, 100% we've had a form in place, and for the most part, this form very much resembles that. There are a few things on here because we had talked, like the Visitors Bureau and Historical Society, and the town has always helped with garbage and a few of those things. And this is carry in, carry out on here. They just don't have the manpower or the capability to do some of those things. And I feel as a town, we have an obligation to help support some of these things because we have tried for years to get these events here. So although I'm in favor of some type of form and making sure they have insurance and things like that, I'm really not in favor of charging for most of these events because I don't feel that we're going to get enough benefit out of it to counteract the benefit that the events actually give the town. I feel like it's going to be a negative, and I would hate to see us lose things like we have in the past because of a few $100s.
Thank you. Tim?
So there are two, as this conversation has indicated, there are two huge issues that are not really related. The first is the Parks Department is, I don't know how to put it, there are a lot of things that ought to be done. John, do you want to, you should speak to this. Yeah.
That'd be great.
Wait, hold on. Raise your hand. John?
Yes. So
Thank you.
when I applied for this job 14 years, whatever, 13, I don't even know how long, a while ago. It was, pretty straightforward. Groundskeeping, building maintenance, take the garbage. I sat down for, 10 minutes and thought of, Darren asked me how my job's changed since last year. Not much, but, it's hard for something to change drastically. But since I have started, when we first started with spring cleanup, we got 2 crews of inmates, for 8 to 10 days, which is, it's 12 to 24 people depending, but it's a lot of people and it's a lot of manpower to rake and clean all of there and do everything, which is an immense amount of work. The prison closed, we do all of that now. The Visitors Bureau, since I have started here, has been, the parking lot's been put in. All of the landscaping has been put in, the sign's been put in. It requires, watering, pruning, plowing, planting, mulching, weeding. There wasn't one light pole in town when I started. There's 25-ish now. They all require maintenance. The sign on the corner with the brook was not there when I started. We didn't mow the corner when I started. It requires mowing, landscaping, planting, watering, weeding, staining. The Candyman side, we do. The split rail fence, anywhere you see it, we put it in. It all requires maintenance. The docks at the beach that we put in and take out, the handicap dock at the beach, we help build. It ever needs to be stained every couple years or it will rot. And then it's just an amenity that will just be in disarray. The volume of people in town has changed dramatically since I started. It's just not the same town. It's extremely busy. There's more garbage. The bathrooms need to be cleaned at a higher frequency. The beach didn't have any. I took the old building down at the beach. There were the old bathrooms. There's the new bathrooms at the beach. They could be cleaned, you know, on a 4th of July weekend 3 times a day. We've put 4 other bathroom stalls across the street that need cleaning and maintenance. When the Festival of Colors was the only event that I had any responsibility for when I started. The dirt jumps in the park, the skate park, the banners. When I started, there were probably 30 to 40 banners. Now we have, you know, 50 or 60 hometown hero banners. We have more business banners. With, you know, we have the dam that's been completely redone, planting the wall, the mulching around the fish, the ski chairs all around town that need maintenance. If you don't paint the big bike at the library every year, it will rot and it'll rust and it'll look terrible. You know, and I mean, it's hard as an employee and as a taxpayer. As a taxpayer, I'm all for events. They're fun. I've ran in the whiskey run 3 or 4 times. I've done the uphill foot race. I bring my son to the Festival of Colors. He does the bouncy house. You know, like, I'm all for events. And if we charge a fee, and whatever, throw away the fee or charge the fee, even if the fee is paid for my time, I'm still doing it. And it doesn't help anything. You know, like it helps the taxpayers if there's a burden on the taxpayers who feel that they do not want to sit. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. If there are taxpayers who feel that they don't want to subsidize events, charging a nominal fee would then make them happy. And like the whole thing is like, even if the fee is paid, I still got to set the tents up. And that takes me away from doing, and this is just a drop in, like, you know, this isn't even like the core of my work. Darren asked me how my job has changed. And this is 10 minutes of sitting down of how my job has changed since I started. I'm not even mentioning anything else that I may take. And to charge the Historical Society $300 for an event, and then you give them $1,000, like, what am I missing?
They're coming from different pools of money. One is property tax, one is bed tax.
Well,
But everything else you said is very well taken and well said.
Good job, John.
Yep.
But
hold on. Anybody want to say?
That's probably all of us.
Say something? I'm going to let the people respond to what you've said so far.
First of all, John, thank you very much. We do appreciate everything you do at town, and we know your job is huge, and it has only gotten bigger. You know, I feel a little bit as a town board like we've let you down because rather than our park department getting bigger, it's gotten smaller. And then we should have never allowed that to happen. That being said, when the EMT/parks person was created 8 or 10 years ago, it was because there was more events and things coming, and that's why that position has been created. When we did the budget this year, although that position was taken away, your budget remained pretty much steady to make sure that we could have at least multiple, meaning 2+ employees throughout the summer months to help you with that type of thing. And I know that the job is not easy, and I know that it's stressful. I've done it 18 years ago. I used to work for the town. I've been there. You know I have. You worked with me. So, and I understand, even then, it has changed since then, and we did have the prisoners and things like that. You know, as far as that type of thing, you know, I feel we need to work together as a town better. And I did have a conversation with Louis, and Louis said, you know, he is very busy also, because he's actually down 1 employee from when it used to be 18 years ago as well. It used to be a 6-person crew. Now it's a 5-person crew plus the highway superintendent. So everything has gotten tighter. He also said, you know, anytime that you do need help, if he has a guy available, he'd be more than willing to help. So I feel as a town, we need to do a better job helping you do these events and doing a better job communicating through all departments, whether it's highway or water or parks, to help these things go off. Because even you had admitted, you know, these events are great for the town. And I feel that, you know, you do see the benefit out of them. Unfortunately, it does create a lot more work. But if we want to keep these events, there's no way to not have the work. And like you said, okay, we can get $500 from these organizations, but that's not going to change your work. The only thing that's going to change your work is having more people to help with these things. And, you know, we have the money in the budget and we have availability to do that. And I think it's our job to help you with that. But as far as charging for the events, I'm sticking with what I said. And I think the benefits outweigh any negatives that we're getting.
Let me see, Tina, do you want
I
to come
feel
up? John?
fine.
Laura?
I thought everything you said was extremely well put, and I think that brought a lot of light to a lot of people in this room who were not aware of.
And the carry in and carry out stuff is, I work for different places that do different sorts of events. The carry in, carry out stuff is simply you rent a dumpster and they come pick it up. You know, like, I'm not saying I don't want to take people's garbage, but to say like, it's an impossible thing.
That nobody follows it. Yeah, I mean, you get a follow rate of what, 40% carry in, carry out people.
I'm not saying that that's something that we should do. I'm just saying that,
No.
that's what
I'm,
the other places I work for, they all rent.
I'm taking away two points from this discussion. One is, I'm not married to the form. It seems to me that what the town should do is with both the Wilmington Historical Society and the Visitors Bureau, when we get to the contract, think what type of shared services agreement we could have with both of these organizations going forward. We could allocate these kinds of responsibilities, outline what the town's going to be doing, the town's contributions to it in terms of in-kind services and money, and things like that. And so I just think that, and if I'm looking at it broadly, we don't get many weddings here. If it comes, well, maybe we do. I don't know. But in any case, it's not the case where we'll discover more if we're getting more of a demand. But we do know that those two and then the Bike Fest are the three type of, typical annual events for which we could probably treat it better. The town has an agreement with the Visitors Bureau. Maybe we could start putting in provisions about the events in that agreement. We could do an updated agreement with the Wilmington Historical Society, a memorandum of understanding, saying, okay, we'll do this, we'll do that, because you use the facilities here and things like that. And then we got those locked in by contract. Scrap the form and play that by ear with by KDK. But what I worry about is the situation where the town hasn't adopted some overall set of guidelines, so that people think that they're not getting singled out. You have to provide X, Y, and Z. Just do that kind of stuff. But apart from that, though, I'm starting to not see any real value in this forum. Just a minute, John. Okay, that's my point. John.
So just to end, like, me as a taxpayer, not as an employee, these tents cost money. The facilities that are used have masonry and fencing, and things can get broken. And if you were to charge a small fee, which was put into an account, if something were to happen, you don't want to, it's not Karen's fault if one of her racers, damages something.
Right.
You don't want to make her pay for it. Or if every person who held an event was treated the exact same, regardless of who they are, if they're charged $200, $300, $150, the money could be put into if we have a windstorm and there's a tent set up and the tent gets shredded, that's $3,000. So like, if an organization is making $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 holding an event, it just seems like crazy to me that they can't pay $300.
Yeah, thank you. So could you threw me off of what my was suggesting, going back to the form. Hold on.
And that's the thing, like, I don't know as if we've even asked the organizations if they minded paying a fee.
I was just.
You know, and as I said in my report, you know, it is not a huge amount of money. It's putting some skin in the game. It's putting a good faith effort towards, you know, it's like an appreciation cost. I don't even know how to phrase that, but, you know, I don't think it's outlandish, like I said, and thank you for your input, John. I mean, it was eye-opening for what you do, and I had been on a tour with you, and I know what you do, but I think you put it pretty eloquently.
And we do thank you, John, and we do appreciate everything that you do, because we do know that you do a lot. You know, we do appreciate that.
So, well, we haven't, Tim.
Thank you, thanks. So this is an idea that Faber had broached, and it kind of dovetails with what Tina said. I appreciate most of what you said. Appreciate a lot of it. And what if the town just hires an event director using bed tax money and takes it off of John's plate, and that event director can deal with everything?
Because it still doesn't solve that he's low staff.
Yeah, he's one of
So he's gonna need another employee too.
Absolutely.
Yep,
He's
yep.
Yeah, he's still gonna,
Which, I mean, we
Needs
could,
another employee.
still needs help. Regardless, he can't do it all.
The charge of the fee, and even if the fee is paid,
So-
I'm still doing.
So, hold on. Thank you.
A lot of times-
Just a minute.
When John has
One at a
events and stuff,
Yeah.
sometimes I can't get him some people.
I know.
So like we talked about the swing sets.
Yep.
I said, yes, but in the spring I gotta do cleanup. And once we're done cleanup, I can then help. But until the cleanup's done, I can't provide anybody. So
Okay,
it's still the point that John needs help,
all right,
another employee.
got it. Thank you.
During the summer, we do have a part-time employee.
Yes, but we're gonna be discussing staffing, I guess, at another meeting too, because I think we need to address that. But it won't, tonight, I think what's gonna happen is, I did provide for this eventuality in the meeting. If no resolution on approving the form, I'd like to, so we have a resolution and a second on the first one for the form. I'm gonna move that we table that. There's a second for tabling the form? Second, so that's tabled. So now we go to B, which is Resolution 3025, approving the application of Wilmington Historical Society for permission to use the town roads at Preston Festival Fieldbird's annual whiskey run, June 21st, 2025. I heard what Darren said about the thing, but I'm thinking that'll be handled. Maybe we don't know the dates, but it's subject to the conditions. So the insurance, we'll discuss. All other permits that you need to obtain from New York State and from the county, and also the alcohol stuff for the fact that you have some whiskey vendors there.
Right.
Okay, so that would be the new resolution. Motion in a second, please.
I'll make the motion so we can discuss further.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, okay. Darren and Tina. Discussion. Go ahead, Darren.
Obviously, I'm fine with approving this. They've provided all of that paperwork every year, and I don't expect them not to provide it in years going forward.
Yep.
As far as any of those permits and stuff. And I would like to get the board's thoughts on, giving them like a 3-year contract so they can move forward with planning and not have to worry about next year not being approved. And they can kind of plan freely that this is going to be able to continue without kind of wondering, if they're going to have to pay a bunch of money, or if the town changes their mind and say, oh, well, we're not going to allow it anymore. So I would like to just see the board's thoughts on approving this resolution, but possibly extending it for 2 additional years beyond this year.
All right, Jim, you have a comment on that?
I do, but I thought Tina had her hand
Tina.
up.
Sorry.
No, I didn't.
Oh.
I'm still thinking on
Okay,
my end
I'm
here.
just going left.
okay.
left to right.
Well, I think this event will always be approved, but no one needs to worry that the town board will not approve this event. The question is, so I've been kind of beating around the bush about this, and I haven't brought up. I'll bring it up now. Like, I try to respond to the concerns people bring to me, and I've had a person crying about her taxes. We did an event, and that was what people wanted to talk about, was taxes. That was 75%. So, and you're right. If it's, if the facilities use fee brings in 4,500, that's meaningless in the terms of the town budget, which is 2.5 million. However, it seems to me that over and over and over again, it's like, well, that's only $8,000. That's only $13,000. That's only $5,000. It's only $5,000. I would, if we're ever going to get away from overriding the tax cap every single year, we need to start thinking about $5,000 as not meaningless. So, and it is microscopic in the terms of the town budget. We have to do something to alleviate the tax burden if we care about these people who are so heavily pressed by it. And this is one idea. I'd be delighted to hear any other ideas. I don't hear a lot of ideas, so this is just one idea.
Laura, and we're talking, should we extend it for 2 or 3 years?
I'm in favor of a 1-year agreement at this time, and then after we get our ducks in a row as far as the agreement fee use, whatever we're going to proceed with, if we proceed with it, we readdress it next year.
Gina?
I'm okay with doing the 3-year agreement because we do it every year. It's something that comes every year. I would like us to see if we could come to an agreement tonight on them, the Visitors Bureau, on a set fee of what we're going to charge. So we can determine tonight if it's going to be $250 or $300. Just set the price so we can move forward on what we're going to charge. I do agree with, I thought John brought up a valid point that if we do have any incidentals, that it is a good idea to have a backup. And I realize that these are organizations that are raising money for their organizations, but they are bringing in money. So then I realize it is a fundraiser for you. And at the same time, it's something that if we have problems and we have to cover, and we're paying things as well on both ends. It's a catch-22 both ways. So if we're going to set a schedule, let's move.
Go ahead.
I agree with you on most of that, Tina. However, some of the stuff that was brought up, like the tents and things like that, I believe the town only owns actually one tent, which was brought through bud tax money. I believe most of the tents for the events that are used in town are actually owned by the Visitors Bureau. And the Historical Society has a number of their own tents, along with when we have some type of an agreement. And I believe in the original agreement that was approved 2 to 3 years ago, it does say if any damage occurs to said structures or anything like that, they are liable to fix all damages and stuff. So, I mean, I understand your point, but we do have that in that form that was originally adopted 3 years ago. If one of the competitors happened to damage something, or if somebody backed into a building, that's part of the liability policy, and that is part of the indemnification that they would be responsible for any damages that occur.
I didn't realize you already had that agreement in place. My bad.
Where is that agreement?
It's not in front of us. It's
in the minute.
Is it still
Dawn knows it exists because she was on the board when it
I'm sorry,
passed.
no, okay, so you
Was
were
there-
on the board. I didn't know, okay, I wasn't
there a
aware that
timeframe
that
for it?
agreement. I
Was
was
it a
not
1-year
aware
thing?
that-
Was it a 10-year thing?
So I was
They
not aware
just-
that
They
existed.
basically adopted the agreement, the lease agreement, period.
Okay,
They
Okay.
didn't put a time frame on it, it was just an ongoing,
so I retract that statement.
there was no expiration date on it.
I did not
Something
realize
said,
that.
yeah, there has to be an
Sorry
expiration
about that. I
date, there
didn't
was no
realize that.
expiration date.
We're in the middle of, I'm going to try to get a vote. Sometimes we can get on to the other items. So we have a motion and a second. We've had a discussion. Darren has moved to amend, to make this a 3-year resolution. Tim and, okay, I don't think so Is there a second on the motion to amend to make it a 3-year resolution?
I was thinking to make the 3-year.
Second. Okay, let's have a
I
vote.
don't have a problem with that.
Let's have a vote on the 3-year.
We do a roll call.
Yes, please.
Well, hold on. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with all of this. If we change anything, we're locked in. The Visitors Bureau is basically getting a head start, and their whole agreement is locked in, and everyone else is playing by a different set of rules. That doesn't make any sense. I feel that this whole conversation has gone backwards. The first
Wait,
thing,
where's the-
I'm sorry, did I say Visitors Bureau? I meant Historical Society. I'm sorry. This whole conversation is my mistake. This whole conversation has gone backwards. We should have started with talking to John, and rather than debating these fees for 10 months. I don't think we should lock the town into something for the next 3 years. It's going to be approved. All these events are going to be approved. No one is against these events.
Yeah, no, so the discussion, so this is a motion to accept the resolution, to make it a 3-year resolution, that they get to use it upon the terms and conditions stated in the first resolution. So,
Which is,
Tim,
we're doing a roll call vote.
what about plus any conditions subsequently adopted by the town board? Okay, I'm fine with that.
okay, so we're adding something else to it too.
Yes.
Favor?
Wait a minute.
Okay,
So are we doing roll call?
Yes.
Okay.
but
So,
I have to have the resolution, you have to know. if we're
okay,
calling
the resolution is, I'll read it again. Approve the application of the Wilmington Historical Society for permission to use town roads and Preston Festival Field for its annual whiskey runs for calendar year 2025, 2026, and 2027, subject to the conditions outlined at the meeting, such as insurance, all other permits obtained, New York State and Essex County, also that the town board can
Favor?
just met, I'm trying to think of the language. That at some point, and also subject to any further conditions that the town board may bring up upon notice to the Wilmington Historical Society.
Subject to any additional conditions approved by the Wilmington Town Board.
Yep, but subject to notice, they have to have notice that you know, that they make sure they can be heard on the change. That's it.
And basically, all this says is that we're approving them to use the field. It doesn't even say anything about fees in here.
Yeah.
So if we decided on a fee schedule later, all this is doing is giving them permission to use the field.
That was not the understanding we had the last time this came up.
Well, that's what this resolution says.
That's, the resolution doesn't touch upon fees. That's the resolution. There was a second.
And the rows.
Yes.
And then, okay, so roll call vote, please.
Tim,
It all sounds good. I'm afraid I'm getting bamboozled a little, but it sounds good. Yes, I vote yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Tina,
Yes.
Favor.
Yes, congratulations. Resolution 31 is the adopting the guidelines form for the Wilmington Planning Board and the Zoning Board of Appeals. We have teacher.
I'm sorry. Would you be willing to revisit this? I think this is an excellent document that really is probably in our best interest, and it was part of the previous resolution. I know we did it as just the.
It'll be included.
Okay, but for other events.
Oh,
right?
sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, no, I want
okay.
as much
Do we have to resolve this though?
Well, you tabled it.
No.
We tabled the application, but this is the
Yeah.
indemnification.
Okay, so let's,
Well, that's part of that.
Part of the
way you
resolution,
wrote it. Yeah,
subject to the indemnification agreement.
but you can make the resolution to accept the indemnification.
yeah, why don't we do that?
Agreement.
Resolution to accept the indemnification that be given to any party who wishes to use town facilities for the future. That's the resolution.
I'll make just the indemnification. I'll make the motion.
Yep.
Second.
Let's see, which is all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Opposed? Carried. All right, so the next one is the Resolution 31, adopting guideline form for the Wilmington Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals. I will mention that Laura has had provided these. These are tools to help our zoning boards of appeals or in our planning board to go through the criteria. I'll give a motion in a second.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second, okay. So you want to
So
talk about it?
our code requires us, for any variances, to have the applicant plead their case essentially. And there's criteria that must be met. So the applicant, so I don't know if it was released to the public, but there's an area and use variance test. And it has on it, our zoning code. There's, the language is taken directly from the zoning code, and then the applicant would fill out and plead their case regarding things that they have to essentially give more information to the board so that they can say yes or no, they've met their burden of proof for these variances. And this was approved by Doug and written up by me, approved by Doug, and I'm asking for the board to approve it. It was also verbatim taken from the code. The chart is just highlighted as far as what the applicant fills out and what the board can approve, yes or no. So that's what we're discussing at this moment. And it's not instead of the variance application, it's a supplement to, so that the applicant can have meet all of the criteria as we're required by code.
Thank you, Laura. Any further discussion?
Good work.
I think these are useful for the board and the applicant because they help focus what they're supposed to be looking at and you know help keep them away from tearing off of something else that isn't really part of the code. So let's see, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Resolution 32, 2025, authorizing the supervisor to initiate a comprehensive plan process. The resolution is written here, whereas the New York State provides grant funds on a competitive basis. And whereas the town of Wilmington is proposing to undertake a comprehensive planning process or create a town comprehensive plan in order to assess local land use policies, establish new policies that more accurately reflect the current community's current conditions, opportunities, and goals for smart growth development principles. Whereas the town of Wilmington intends to submit a grant application to request funding through the 2025 EPF Smart Growth Community Planning and Zoning Program with a minimum of 10% local match to the New York State EPF Smart Growth Community grant program. And so the resolution is that hereby the town of Wilmington authorizes the submission of a grant application on its behalf, including the provision for 10% local match to request state funding, and that the town supervisor is authorized to execute documents made relating to that. Is there a motion and a second?
I'll make it.
Second,
Second, Tim. Discussion.
just want to reiterate and make sure that our local match will be bed tax money. I know we discussed with that before.
Yeah, no objection to that. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, so this is going to be a roll call vote. This is a resolution. First, we'll do, I'm sorry, I have this backwards. Resolution 33, 2025, approving the replacement generator at Community Center and authorizing the supervisor to execute the contract with Wood Hill Electric. Everybody understands we're going for the 14 kilowatt air cooled, the estimate 1417 dated 11/26/2024. May I have a motion and a second to accept that?
Okay.
Second.
I didn't hear them make it, who was it?
10 minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Roll call, sorry, roll call.
Tim,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Favor?
Yes, please. So then we'll need a budget amendment resolution, which would
Ask. I only have from Wood Hill Electric, the quotes. Did Fonzie put in a quote on the two, the same as Wood Hill did?
no, we did just one for the
14.
14
Oh,
lot.
he did for the 14 and
Yeah,
that's one we
and that-
left, so that's okay. Yep, okay.
Yeah, so we have
Just
copies.
so she has it.
Thank you.
And so the budget amendment would be transfer an amount of at least, let's say, $8,264.54 from the community enhancement funds to the buildings account, so that it would be funds available for that one.
I'll make it.
Is there a second?
Second,
Discussion?
I wish we had a better understanding of how much community enhancement money we have on hand. That's all.
Roll call vote, please.
Okay, Tim,
Yes,
Darren,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Tina,
Yes.
Favor?
Yes.
Carried all in favor.
Thank you so much. It's now time for public comment. I'm sorry for, anybody got a comment? Randy?
Why is it so easy for you to keep raising the prices on the taxpayers as a garbage fee, doubling that almost? Why is that just so easy to do that? But it's so hard to charge these organizations a small fee. Why is that so easy? And why is that so hard? I don't understand.
So the thing about these community things is that charging them a fee when we, for example, the town each year allocates $14,000 to the Visitors Bureau. It allocates $10,400 to the library, and it gives a very small gift to the Wilmington Historical Society by comparison, $500. At the same time, so us charging them a $250 fee, we can just easily knock it off of the amount that we're paying them anyway. It's part of the.
Who pays for the garbage when it gets taken to the dump? The town?
John?
Taxpayers? Who pays for that?
John?
The town would pay for it.
Yeah.
We, the dump.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's.
I don't understand why it's so easy to keep raising everything for the taxpayer and not making these organizations at least pitch in a little.
I don't
That's
know.
all I'm saying.
I'm actually looking to hear from Doug why he's recommending a change in the increase.
That's a lot, that's a big raise, from 12 to 20.
Well, it may have something to do with how much we're paying.
Because Keene has 20, who cares about Keene?
Because basically, if it really comes down to it, there you go.
Yeah, it means just money. The
When
taxpayers.
was the last time the fees were actually raised for the landfill? How long has it been?
Probably 12 years ago.
It was like the water, we had the cheapest water around and the rates should have been going up for years and years and years and they never did. And then they come up to be a standard and people are shocked. They should have been lucky they had the greatest water around and it was cheap for years. It never went up. And then it went up and everybody was complaining.
So
I don't think
Things
it's
have
the
to go up.
standard.
just one at a time, please. John, thank you. I will say that, if it operates in the red, that means it's coming out of the general fund, which means it's coming out of the property taxes. So that's typically, that's how the town has. I mean, the water taxes. So the rates have been kept. We're at the same level for many years, and so that money needed to run the water department came from basically property taxes. Everybody's property taxes reflected that amount of money that was needed for the water department. That's just, it's just how that works. Somebody's paying for it in the town. Tim,
thanks. Just to clarify, I know that this is confusing and I'm not sure. Maybe I need to think of a better way to explain it, but there are two different pools of money. One is property tax and one is bed tax. So any hypothetical fee, which, like I said, they're going to be, any fee that is ever adopted would be modest. It would go into the general fund, which is property taxes. The subsidies for the Visitors Bureau, for example, comes out of bed tax. So the fee would alleviate, I know it's microscopic, it would be a gesture, and it would do, in theory, it would do something to alleviate property taxes. The subsidies are a whole different topic. They're coming from a different pool of money. I know that's complicated, and I need to think of a better way to explain it. Yeah, go ahead.
One comment on the landfill to help answer Randy's question. And you kind of answered it. Even though the landfill's fees are going to be going up, and you might be paying $5 to drop off your garbage rather than $4, that money comes back to the budget. And when that money comes back to the budget, we're going to have it extra to pay Doug's salary or his health insurance or whatever. So we're actually buying down the budget with those fees. Not to mention, there's multiple towns around that visit our landfill. So it's not just Wilmington that's actually paying for that. So now since Black Brook has closed their transfer station, and we have people coming from Jay and Black Brook and Osable Forks using our transportation, they're actually helping pay our taxes in Wilmington with those fees. So although Wilmington may be seeing an increase for the residents, they're getting that money back and then some in a budget way because it helps offset the costs that are associated with it.
Let's hope we remember that when it's tax time and we don't have to go above the cap next year.
Well, every little bit hurts. We just help, or every little bit helps. We've had that discussion tonight.
And there are the money that they use.
Any public comment, please go ahead. Pat, and then.
I just mind basic. Did Ron submit the bid, or did
Woodhill Electric? Thank you. Just a moment, sir.
Charlie, I think.
Charlie's next. Sorry, Charlie.
Well,
I think it's the speakers echoing.
It's my tummy.
So I'm just still a little confused.
Okay.
We've been talking about the Visitors Bureau, about the Historical Society. Tina or Seal want to have a family reunion at the beach. Where are they on that?
No, just go right ahead.
Well, and that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
If they just decide to do it, what are you going to do about it?
No, that's right. That's right. What we try to do this year is give us a heads up. We don't book it, but we have a master calendar. And if someone calls up, we certainly won't let anyone else try to take it away on a weekend that a local family wants to use the pavilion. But it's still, the rule is first, get down there and occupy it and put up signs. Karen.
I just have a suggestion for summer. I think, John, your most of your work is higher in the summer, is it, with gardening, the gardens and all that other kind of stuff?
I mean, like, if it snows every day, it's pretty steady.
I was just trying to think of maybe a summer work program for kids. Would that be helpful? Would that be helpful?
There used to be one, those kids don't exist
Okay. I tried.
I'm one of those kids.
Like, I used to work for the town, but when I was fine to 13 or 14-year-olds that want to work, B, that you can leave at home, do something.
You can't leave them alone.
So,
few and far between, and they're not around here.
so I have to make the final motion. I know I missed it. So here are the invoices and claims vouchers. May I have a motion to accept that and then to make the transfers appropriately?
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion?
There were two that were good. Great.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you, everyone. Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. I'll make it. Thank you all for coming. Good conversation. That was productive. Thank you all.